Hello, listeners. It's Mallory Wilsey, Chief Producer of the Enrollify Network, and I want to tell you about another show on our podcast network that I think you'll love. Visionary Voices, the College President's Playbook, is an insightful podcast dedicated to the strategic minds leading today's higher ed institutions. Each episode brings a unique perspective from visionary and tech-forward college presidents, chancellors, and other high-level academic leaders, diving into the complexities and nuances of running a modern educational institution. This show is hosted by Dr. Brian Gross, Vice President for Enrollment Management and Athletics at Hartwick College, and is a valuable resource for current and aspiring leaders in academia, offering a playbook of visionary ideas and practical solutions for the ever-evolving landscape of higher ed. New episodes drop every other Wednesday, and you can subscribe to the show by visiting podcast.enrollify.org or just search Visionary Voices wherever you get your podcasts.
What do most people do? We walk into our office, we sit down, we open up our inbox and let our inbox tell us what to do. And the inbox is a horrible way to prioritize because it doesn't come in priority order. It just comes in randomly. And it comes in based on urgency and other people's urgent needs for you. And most people get distracted because we start at the top and we work our way down. And then that's when people come to me because feeling like they don't have control over their day and everything's chaotic and they're all over the map and they're not hitting their goals. Well, it's because we're not working on the right things at the right time.
Welcome to Mission Admissions, a podcast that helps higher ed become better recruiters, communicators, marketers, and leaders. I'm your host, Jeremy Tiers, and every other week I'll share my candid conversations with industry leaders and difference makers from both inside and outside of higher ed. You'll walk away with advice, tips, and strategies to help you both professionally and personally. Mission Admissions is part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher ed professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites linked in the show notes below. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. You can learn more at element451.com. Hey everybody, it's Jeremy Tiers, and this is episode 44 of the Mission Admissions podcast. This one's going to be a lot of fun for me today because I have somebody on this episode who I have a lot of respect for and have had the privilege of working with now for almost 7 years. Mandy Green is not only a fellow senior leader here at Tudor Collegiate Strategies, but she also has a company of her own that's called Busy Coach. And Busy Coach helps not only college coaches and administrators, but also college admission and marketing professionals around the country just achieve greater efficiency and effectiveness without burning out. AKA Mandy helps people plan out their day and do it a little bit more effectively and efficiently. So welcome to the show, Mandy.
Thanks, Jeremy, for having me on.
So you and I talk about this a ton every time we're going on these campuses and, we're leading training workshops. Why do you think, if you had to narrow it down to one or two things for us, Mandy, why do you think people struggle so much with time management? What are the top one or two reasons?
I think a few things. One of it is lack of understanding top priorities that move the needle. There's a million things that go on and a million things that are thrown at everybody all throughout the day. And I find lack of focusing on the right things at the right time is a key component of it. And I mean, there's a lot of things, but I think a second big detractor from people actually accomplishing their goals and, reaching the numbers we're trying to hit is distractions. We get too distracted by everything and all things coming at us at all times. And we don't have a system for kind of blocking out the noise to focus on the right things at the right time to move the needle, to hit the goals that we're after.
So, prioritization and lack of it and distractions. I think I saw something the other week that said we get hit with a digital distraction, like, I don't know what it is, every 7-10 seconds, right? It's a lot, whatever the number was. Those two things, people trying to do what everybody likes to refer to as multitasking, right? Which our brains are not designed to do that. If anybody listening then is guilty, which I'm sure a lot of people are, I'm sure both you and I are at times of, well, where do you start when it comes to improving any one of those things? Let's just take, for example, lack of prioritization and not being able to prioritize. What's step one then, Mandy, to figuring out how to better prioritize your to-do list?
Step one, I think, is figuring out what your triggers are. Even if I backtrack before that, I mean, I think number one thing actually is planning. We got to plan. You can't just walk into your office. What do most people do? We walk into our office, we sit down, we open up our inbox and let our inbox tell us what to do. And the inbox is a horrible way to prioritize because it doesn't come in priority order. It just comes in randomly. And it comes in based on urgency and other people's urgent needs for you. And most people get distracted because we start at the top and we work our way down. Then that's when people come to me, because feeling like they don't have control over their day and everything's chaotic and they're all over the map and they're not hitting their goals. Well, it's because we're not working on the right things at the right time. And so I think a simple, super simple strategy is start the night before, and it's just pick top 6 of all the things. I'm a big fan of having a master list. What are all the things that have to get done throughout the course of the year? And then you could even isolate it month by month, because, there's certain things that happen more in certain times of the year. But let's be proactive and get it out of your head onto paper so you can look ahead. And also, if you've got other people working with you, right, is now we can get them doing things instead of the reaction, oh crap, I forgot that. Let's think ahead and plan ahead. But then I like having people just the night before, look at the list. What are all the things that could get done? And then what is the top priority thing I need to do? What's number 1, number 2, number 3, and maybe 3 to 6 tops, right? Planning, do it the night before. You go to bed with a plan, and I feel like you wake up with a purpose. It gets you, because you've already made a decision as to what you're going to do. So you've eliminated that friction of knowing where to start. You've already identified the key needle moving activity that needs to be focused on. A lot of times, first thing in the morning, when you first start working, you're fresh, you're energized, you have the fewest distractions. So that's when, you're going to make more progress on bigger, higher value tasks. And it's just with a little bit of intention and a little bit of planning.
So you get that list of 3 to 6 things. I find that a lot of people, Mandy, then even struggle within that 3 to 6 things to know where to start. And so time blocking, for example, is something I know you and I have talked about a lot. Give us an idea of just why time blocking, for example, whether it's 3 things, 6 things, whatever it is, like literally looking at your calendar and saying, all right, from this point to this point, I'm going to do this. What's the value for us when we do that?
Well, if you don't put it on your schedule, anything and anybody that stops by your office is going to interrupt you. And I know one of the things that we're going to talk about today is magic time. Like, to me, where I've helped coaches, administrators, admissions, anybody that I work, entrepreneurs that I work with, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. But there are some that just get so many more. It's not that they get more things done; they get the right things done, and they are very. You can't just be like doctors, right? They don't just let anybody come at any old time. They've got a schedule and they've got a system. Like coaches that I work with, the majority of the time, to them, the most important thing in their day is practice. Well, nothing gets moved around practice. Or if you have a doctor's appointment, right, you schedule everything around that one thing. And that is kind of the ultimate goal that for people is with the same 24 hours, with all the tasks that everybody has to do. They're the same tasks. Is usually the ones that get ahead more than others are the ones who we're just not doing enough of the right things. And so blocking is setting aside an hour, 2 hours, half a day, however long, And ideally, it's for each person, right? Like finding the ideal time during the day that works when your energy is the best, your focus is the best, and you get the fewest interruptions, and align that with the highest value task you can possibly think. And, with the 1 to 6, there's no like, oh, I'm going to start with 5 and then I'm going to go to 6 and I'll maybe jump to 4. It's nope. Decide what is number one, and you start with number one and you schedule it, and nothing else happens during that time except that. It's like the most important meeting you could set up with yourself that day is that, and that's all you're doing, and you set the time. I'm a big believer in Parkinson's law, which is work expands to the time you give it. If you set your 6 times or six priorities, but you give yourself all day to do it, it's going to take you all day. And so that's where the power of like blocking a certain schedule, you're restricting your time, and magically that number one, if you give yourself an hour, it will, and then you actually focus on the one thing and you don't move to number 2 until number 1 is done. And again, your energy is good, your focus is good, you've set up your environment to get a lot of things done in a short amount of time. Aligning, again, energy and aligning value is how you can get ahead of most people. You can get more done in that 1 hour than most people do in an entire day, with all sorts of distractions and versus starting with high value, high energy versus low value and scatterbrained all over the place.
So then, on that note, the combination of digital distractions, and so like, for example, that's our cell phone. That's if I'm working in an office setting, it's having, for example, our instant messaging system on where everybody's messaging each other throughout the day, is a big answer to improving productivity then, Mandy, for so many groups. Just you have to turn that stuff off. You have to put your phone as far away to the other side of the room. I mean, how do you help people then ultimately avoid those digital distractions so, to your point, they can actually accomplish stuff that they block time for?
You read all of the studies, and if you research anybody that and study how they've become the success that they have, is they are amazing at saying no to things that don't serve their ultimate mission and their vision that they're trying to accomplish. And for a lot of people, that is this, and a lot of people, this is procrastination, their phone.
Yeah, and then let's circle back then, because I totally agree with you, to the idea, and you mentioned it before, this concept of magic time, because I know when I first heard it from you a handful of years ago, it made complete sense. And as I started thinking about my own day personally, I was like, okay, there are days when I don't even think about it, and I do it when I'm at my best. And there are days that where if I'm, really thinking and dissecting, no, I probably should be prioritizing that earlier in the day. Because, for example, I'm a morning person, but not everybody's a morning person. So go into this concept a little bit more, Mandy, of, all right, magic time. What is magic time? And why is magic time, again, so important when it comes to helping you complete tasks?
Everybody's got the time of day or certain chunks of time during the day, just our normal energy rhythms. And the key is for each person to identify when they are at their best. What I find a mistake a lot of people make is that hard stuff, the key things that move to the key actions we need to be taking every day, tend to get pushed off because emergencies come up, or hey, I need that, can you stop what you're doing and help me with this? So key things tend to get pushed off to the end of the day. Well, for a lot of people, if they're good in the morning and they get interrupted and get that key work gets pushed off to the end of the day. I use the example a lot of, it's kind of like trying to read a book when you're tired, right? Have you ever read and tried to reread the book? You still probably after the fourth time have no idea what you even were reading. And so it's just being protective. It is knowing when to say no to certain requests. And it's almost like, you gotta, is this easy to do in an office when you've got a lot of people and a lot of, no, it's not. And that's where communication between the groups and whoever is working in the office that day is key, because that's where there's a lot of conflict, I find, and especially in admissions offices where you've got so many different people doing so many different things, is everybody's all over the place. And so a lot of times what I encourage and I teach my clients to do is we got to find Are you okay going to the library for an hour? Are you okay working at home for an extra hour? Can you get up an hour earlier, or whatever you need to do to create the environment and the situation that will allow you to get a lot of work done in a short amount of time?
Ultimately, Mandy, magic time, then if I'm hearing you right, just to be clear, is if I'm a morning person and I have an important task that is one of those 3 to 6 things on my to-do list, I have to make sure I prioritize and make time for that in the morning versus, to your point, not pushing it off towards the end of the day when I'm not going to be at my best. And you know what, my mental fortitude, for lack of a better phrase, may be not at the same level because of different things that have happened throughout the day, positive or negative. But then on the flip side, if it's okay, I'm not a morning person, I actually function better later in the day, it's understanding that I have to protect that time later in the day and block time later in the day for those tasks. Because if I try to complete them in the morning, it's probably going to take me longer just because I'm at my best at that point in the day yet.
No, exactly. And it's just being aware of when your energy is good, and working on the right things at the right time.
So prioritizing can be much easier then if we actually plan out, actually write things down when we plan out, and then actually block time for the things that are most important that we need to get done.
Hey, it's Mallory, Chief Strategist of Enrollify. Why travel far when an exceptional higher ed conference experience awaits from the comfort of your campus or home office? I'm thrilled to announce that every single session at the 2024 Engage Summit will be live streamed. And the best part? Registration is free. Many of your favorite Enrollify creators are presenting. Maya Demishkovich and Jenny Lee Fowler will teach you how to craft an AI-powered social media influencer strategy. Jamie Hunt will help you unlock the AI revolution in your team. And Shane Baglini and Allison Tercio are teaming up to boost your productivity with generative AI. Plan out your dream conference by scoping out the agenda and taking note of the sessions you want to tune in for. Visit engage.element451.com and register yourself and your team for free today. Now, back to the show.
Another thing, though, that I've found, and you and I again have a lot of discussions about this over the years, that can help all of us get more done faster is templates. And so, whether it's emails that we know we're going to have to write or send that are very similar over and over, Mandy, or it's templates for other tasks. Why are those so helpful and valuable? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, think of, all the repeatable information that you deal with on a daily basis. Most people waste a lot of time writing from scratch the same content. Now, I'm all about customization. I think customization, right, and personalizing every single message is great. But with the volume of incoming emails and the volume of requests that we deal with on a daily basis, if we are if you have 24/7 and that's all you're doing is individually writing emails, go for it. Most people don't have that time. And because these are repeatable questions, we get asked these same questions over and over again. What I teach people to do is let's write the message really well once, the response to the question. So it's starting with what is the questions? What are the questions we get asked? How do we respond really well once? And then we save it as a template. So now we are making sure as a staff, the quality of the content is top notch. It is easily readable. Now, and especially with admissions offices where there's always new people coming and going, right? Now you can onboard new people faster. You can train them faster, all of the things, but it's just a way to cover more ground. And then the same question comes up in your next email. It's copy paste, and you use that as the foundation of the message, and then you can customize from there. I can't speak highly enough of getting in a template mindset, which means just thinking as you're responding, am I going to use this again? Because if I am, can I save it as a template? And how else can I use this information?
What do you think is the best way then to organize all of these templates so that they can be shared?
I think especially if you have, you're always onboarding new admissions counselors. I think having one central place where it's easy to, because that's where I find a lot of people waste time trying to find documents. And so I love one place where everybody has access to it, where they're easy to find, easy to locate. And so whether it is, a Google Doc where everything is, or I even have a lot of the coaching staffs that I work with is we get them to save the template as a signature in their CRM. And so they just need click on it and boom, there's the email. And so we're saving even more time because it's already in the system. And then we can customize it from there. But I'm at one place where everybody has access to it. So we're eliminating wasted time looking for things.
And so besides, we'll call it recruiting messaging, Mandy, right? Which is back to what you just shared a few minutes ago. As we're having conversations and talking about different aspects of the student experience at the school we work at, what are some other templates over the years that you have found to be super helpful for teams that aren't necessarily, we'll call it recruiting specific messages? Are there anything that comes top of mind?
I mean, for me, I'm a big fan of let's have a template for meetings or for visits. We had a lot of templates for networking, being able to network. It's easier to recruit when you've got a network of people out there looking for you. And so could you have a series of templates for, these people that you're trying to connect with in the community to enhance the community connection, or parents, alumni? I mean, all of those. I mean, I know this all kind of ties back into recruiting, but to me, for coaches that we work with a lot, building their careers is not necessarily what it's kind of who is how you can rise and fall in this profession really quick. And so I think networking, I think recruiting, I think internally, different things for templates, all of them are good.
Well, and as we've been talking about, right, it's about maximizing the number of hours we all have each day. And templates is yet one more thing that, even if it only saves you as an individual 25 minutes in a given day, and that's still 25 minutes, right, that then allows you to potentially complete another big task off your to-do list, to get a head start on something tomorrow, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership and what separates, we'll call it, Mandy, average or just okay teams from like those who, I would argue, function at the highest level and typically achieve their goals more often than not, is something that I know I have a lot of conversations around, and something that I know, again, you and I have seen work well for the leaders that we work with, is when they get their staff aligned by using different kinds of what we'll call meeting rhythms, one of which is called the daily huddle. And so I would love to have you walk us through, all right, what is this daily huddle? How does it work? And why is it something that every team and leader should be doing if they're not doing it already?
I find a lot of times leaders, we tend to set the vision and the numbers we're trying to hit at the beginning of the year, and then it goes in a file and we never really address it. And a few of the different admissions workshops that I've done recently, I've gotten that question a lot, is I don't feel like I have a pulse on what everybody's doing, and I'm not sure if everybody's doing the right thing at the right time. And I want to make sure that we're getting things done, but I want to do it in a way where I'm not micromanaging, is what I hear a lot. And so I introduced the concept of this daily huddle. I think the more that you can get out in the open and talk about and align, daily actions with ultimate goal, there's going to be wins, right? And so the goal is, and I always say, like, when you schedule it, and it's something, this isn't a sit down and relax and let's, start the day by, chit-chatting. Nope. This is like a 10-minute meeting where you're standing up. I wouldn't recommend standing up, or even better, do a walk around campus. So walk and talk, depending on how many people you have, right? But everybody needs to be able to contribute. I like starting at a random time, because when it's in a random time, for some reason, everybody gets there on time and we show up. Again, 10 minutes tops. So put a time limit on it, because this, again, I don't want this to get wordy. The goal is to make sure that everybody's aligned and focused on what really matters to reaching the goal, and to remove obstacles and resolve problems. So we got to start the meeting on time, end on time, and then start with priorities. This is my priority for the day, right? So if I'm going first, not only do I have to decide what I'm going to do, so I'm sharing it, but now everybody there understands what I think are my priorities. So if there's misalignment, it can be corrected right away. And then the person needs to identify what are some potential obstacles that are going to prevent them from making the progress. And I think that's the most important part of the meeting, because that's where we're trying to look ahead and see what could potentially prevent us from getting done what we need to get done. But you just go around the horn, right? And each person gets 10 to 30 seconds to answer each question. It is best, I think, if you answer you go through what are their priorities and then what are the obstacles. It's just meant to resolve issues, establish priorities. It's just a rapid fire check-in that should really only take about a minute each per person. Try it for 30 days and see how much more progress, see how much control you feel, see how, just as a group, the internal communication within the group, when people report back to me how all the daily huddles are going, that's what we're hearing. It's just more focus, less mistakes, more energy within the group, because people understand more what everybody's doing and everybody's more on the same page. So more productive. Again, lots of really good things come from it.
And I have to believe part of it too is if I'm listening to you talk and we're on the same team, that may give me some ideas to things that I need to be thinking about, or go, oh gosh, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's a really good idea, Mandy. And now that gives me something that maybe tomorrow or the next day is going to be the thing that I start to focus on a little bit more. And then to your point, I think it also allows leadership to be able to have a clear understanding of, okay, what are the different things my team are working on? Oh boy, they're mentioning these could be obstacles. I'm hearing common themes. All right, maybe we have to set up some more training around this, or I've got to do X differently. What happens when you have staff either on the road during travel season, for example, visiting high schools or doing college fairs, and or you happen to have regional staff team members who aren't in the office most of the year and are regionally based? Value in then saying, all right, we're going to do all of this on Zoom, or what would your recommendation be in those type situations?
And I was going to say Zoom. Zoom is what I've had a lot of people establish when people are on the road and traveling and they're not able to be there in person, ideally. Or I've had some people, they're in a different country, and so the time zones don't match. They've recorded a Zoom, like their own Zoom. This is my priority today. This is what I'm working on, and these are the obstacles I potentially see. There's some people that have Slack channels, whatever their communication channel that they're working through, but they'll email it to the group, and then the leader that is there running the meeting will share that, just to keep everybody on the same page and everybody in with the discipline of showing up every day and needing to report what their priorities are. So I would say Zoom it in, or they need to record something on their own. Or, I even have some people who using text messages when all people are all places, they have a group chat. They text it in so everybody sees it. Public accountability. The thing I'll say too, with all these meetings are great in the morning, but at the end of the day, we need to check to see progress. And so it's kind of an end of the day, just wrap up. This is even shorter, did we work on what we needed to work on? What was successful? What were the wins? I think just a quick win, because that's where I think we too much focus on what we didn't get done, or still there's a gap between where we are and where we want to be. This is a one quick meeting to establish what, instead of the gap, let's talk about the gains.
And I love the idea of having just a quick wrap up at the end of the day whenever possible, because to Mandy's point, I don't see enough admissions and enrollment marketing teams celebrating those small wins. Mandy, I end every show with something I call fun rapid fire. So I'm just going to give you a handful of quick things, and I just want immediate answers that come to you, okay?
Okay.
Favorite holiday of the year, what is it?
Christmas.
Best Christmas gift you ever got?
My husband got me a heated vest last year or 2 years ago. And I swear it is, as a soccer coach, I don't know why it took me so long to get a heated vest. The best. Well worth it if you live in a cold weather environment.
If you had to have one food every day for the rest of your life, what are you eating?
I'd say avocado.
What's an unusual skill or talent that you wish you had?
That I wish I had? I wish I could sing better than I do. Not a singer, but my daughter sings, and I wish I could sing with her, but I pretend to sing really well, but I know I'm horrible.
I can't sing either, Mandy. Most impactful piece of advice you've ever gotten from somebody that you remember?
Honestly, was to say no more often.
Hard habit for all of us to do consistently, but to your point, super important, because tying back in with what we just talked about, you're going to be less productive when you say yes to so many things. Last one, Mandy. Biggest win or most memorable win you had as a college coach?
I was just talking about this the other day. So I coached at University of Utah for 4 years, and the nemesis at Utah is BYU. We could not beat BYU, and we played them 2-3 times every single year, a couple times in the fall, one time in the spring. My last year there, it was like 20 degrees outside. It was the first time ever we had gotten into the NCAA tournament at BYU, which if you've ever been to BYU, their fans are amazing, but they're also, they're fans of BYU for a reason, right? Thousands of fans there, hostile environment. And we beat them. We beat them in overtime. And so still, those Utah girls, we talk about that game all the time. It was amazing.
I greatly appreciate you sharing some thoughts and ideas today with everybody, Mandy, and look forward to the next time I chat with you.
Thanks, Jeremy, for having me on.
Mission Admissions is part of the Enrollify Podcast Network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a number of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our shows help higher ed marketers and admission professionals find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Jamie Hunt, Allison Tercio, Day Cabilds, and so many other amazing leaders in the higher ed space. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create more meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. You can learn more at element451.com.